Hi there, Nat.
Hi, Jason. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm well. I'm well.
Good.
Welcome to the Lift Oneself podcast, where we break mental health stigmas through conversations. I'm your host, Nat, and we dive into topics about trauma and how it impacts the nervous system. Yet we don't just leave you there. We share insights and tools of self-care, meditation, and growth that help you be curious about your own biology. Your presence matters. Please like and subscribe to our podcast. Help our community grow. Let's get into this. Oh, and please remember to be kind to yourself.
Welcome to the Lift Oneself podcast, Jason. I'm so excited to have this conversation and connection with you today.
Absolutely. And thank you, Nat. I really appreciate coming on Lift Oneself podcast. We had a wonderful time when you came on the expansion of consciousness, and I'm excited and I'm ready to, dive off into whatever we need to dive off into today.
Yeah, I love when I can do these deep dives with people and there's no inhibition, and we can be curious of possibly bringing something else out into this world from the quantum field so that we have more interesting things to work with and to be curious about. So I'm looking forward to this. Will you join me in a meditation before we start?
Sure, let's do it.
And for the listeners, I know many of you guys listen to the podcast while you're driving or doing something that you need your visuals. So again, please do not close your eyes. Keep them open. We want you to be safe and everybody else around you to be safe. Yet the other prompts you're able to follow with whatever activity that you're doing. So Jason, I'll ask you to get comfortable in your seating and gently close your eyes. And you're going to bring your awareness to watching your breath go in and out through your nose. And don't try to control your breath. Just keep your awareness on watching your breath go in and out, being aware of the rhythm. There may be sensations or feelings coming up in the body. Let them come up. You're safe to feel. You're safe to let go. Surrender the need to control. Release the need to resist and just be. Be with your breath. Drop into your body. Keep your awareness on your breath. Your sense of hearing, your smell might be heightened now. Don't push anything away. Just let it come in and also let it go through. Stay with your breath. Continue staying with your breath. Jason, I'm going to ask you to create an intention in your mind of what you want to bring forth in this conversation and for the listeners. And when you've created that intention, I'll ask you to release it in your mind, allowing it to drop down into your nervous system, down your throat, past your vocal cords, down into your chest, past your heart, going down into your stomach, into your life force, while still staying with your breath, allowing that intention to grow in your energy field. Continue staying with your breath and dropping deeper in the body, allowing that intention to surround you. Now, while still staying with your breath, at your own time and at your own pace, you're going to gently open your eyes while staying with your breath. How's your heart doing?
Doing well and full of love.
Can you let the listeners know who Jason is?
Yeah, Jason is a individual who um, believes that meditation allows you to center yourself, allows you to be, just in that pocket of love, that pocket of relaxation. And I learned this technique a long time ago, and using it to experience a number of different modalities that I've worked in, that I continue to work in. Meditation has been the key for me, starting off with using guided meditation like we just did, allowing me to understand the intelligence of the breath, keeping my mind off of all the things that have happened throughout the day, and just track the breath and the intelligence as it moves through the torso. That's who Jason is. Very, very centered. Also, um, curious. Like the late great Dolores Cannon would say, she considered herself the reporter, the researcher of information. And that's sort of how I am. I love reading books. I love finding out the information, and especially the information that I can try to help change things in my life. And when I can figure out that, oh, wow, I can change things in my life, and I'm able to assimilate that information and then share it with others in a meaningful way. People who are trying to overcome issues with mental illness, people who are trying to overcome issues with uh, lack of belief in themselves, um, you know, negative impressions, negative understanding of their potential. And when you're able to share those type of skills, or that type of knowledge with other people, it's fascinating. And I got all of this from an early start. I was challenged by my sister, Tereska. She would tell me to, say these affirmations of faith while I was in college. And I would say these affirmations of faith every day because I wanted so many things to happen for me academically, and I wanted so many things to happen for me athletically. And she said, if you say these affirmations of faith, you'll get them. And I was daily, over and over, saying these affirmations of faith. And I started to do exactly what I was, um, uh, what my thoughts were, what was coming out of my mouth. And I'm like, okay, this seems to be working. And as years went on, I was introduced to the law of attraction by my same sister. And then she says, hey, there's this documentary out called called The Secret. I was introduced to The Secret, which was basically about the law of attraction. There's this documentary out called The Secret. It's been out a while, but you need to look at it. All kind of things about attracting things to you, and like energy attracts, whether it's positive on positive or negative on negative. You got to have to watch things that you say that come out of your mouth because it will happen. So I got on this whole secret trek, and studying the documentary and writing and taking notes. And from that, my sister has been doing a vision party now for the past 6 or 7 years. Every year we do the vision party between the latter part of December and the middle of January. At some point, we come together, and there has not been 1 year in that, not 1 year that I didn't put images on a board, a cardboard or digital. We've done so many formats on exactly what I wanted to bring into my life, and it didn't happen. I just was so amazed at this new thing she was, introducing me to, that had to do with the law of attraction, had to do with energy and how you can attract like energy through watching The Secret. From that, obviously, life sort of kept lifing, and you get married and you have kids and all that. And I lost track of a lot of the things I was doing, but it still was in me until we were forced to slow down about the shutdown of the government and with COVID-19. And that's when I was able to really, really find my rhythm once again. And it started off by me understanding that I just had a major, major introduction to metaphysics when I was working with The Secret. And it just opened my eyes to a number of things. I started reading during the shutdown. I started reading um, Dr. Bob Monroe, Out of Body Experiences. Um, started reading Elizabeth Womack, Lessons from the 12 Archangels. Um, you know, Aaron Pavlin, uh, the Astral Projection Guidebook, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Coming Superhuman, just all the things that had to do, Dolores Cannon, Polluted Universe, a number of different books. I can't name her the many books she's written, but all these different techniques on consciousness, on the mind, the subconscious mind, healing, hypnosis, the power hypnosis. That's who Jason is. That's who I am, and that's who I've evolved as the days go on, sort of using all these lessons and all these modalities that I've been working in to help people, to help myself, and to share the message that we both share. And that is, you're in control of your life. You're in control of everything that you want to do. You can do anything you want to do. You just have to set your intentions.
You do. I want to dive into the part where you were starting all this, and then marriage and life happened with children, and it kind of got you off course. Now, here, can you reflect back why it got you off course? Why did that part of life stop you from implementing the power for yourself and continue on with it?
Construct, paradigm, the surroundings of my current life, the construct, everything around me was in this reality, living every day, working, building a business, taking my sons to football practice, being a husband, trying to have a social life, living as the character, Jason Medlock, and caught up in the matrix, caught up in the day to day. The reason why we are here to experience, and that's what I was doing, just experiencing this physical realm as a spirit. So that day to day rumble tumble life and the redundancy of living this life every day move me more into the reality that I'm experiencing right now, that I was experiencing back then. And it kept me there. Although I had a fascination with UFOs, I had a fascination with metaphysics. I was always curious. It wasn't strong enough to overcome the realities of what was going on every day in my life and the way this experience is set up on Earth. And it's capitalism. It's being able to survive, and the way it's set up, in the game that you have to play. It just kept my mind preoccupied, just like so many other millions of people out there preoccupied, not understanding that it's more, not understanding to look within. I didn't start looking within until we're forced to be still. So that's what happened, Nat. That's the reason why I was, it just took me a while to break free from, everything that was around me, everything that I could see through my receptors. It took me a while to break free from that. And I think that it was already supposed to be. When the time was right, when Source and myself as the spirit within this avatar planned it to be this way, and at some point there'll be an opportunity for me to slow down and experience myself. And that's what happened.
And I ask that because I'm sure like some listeners may hear about energy and law of attraction in secret. And I think a lot of people use it as a way of getting a lot of materialistic things or having life go the way that they want it, not realizing that you use these tools to be able to experience life and be able to show up with the challenges.
Absolutely.
Mean that it's all going to be rosy and everything is going to go your way and that you're not going to face challenges. And I think sometimes people are falling trapped in an illusion that you're going to rid me of all the pain. I'm going to navigate through this, that everything is going to go my way and I will not face any challenges.
Absolutely. And, facing challenges is a part of the experience. When we incarnate here on earth, before we get here, we're in the spiritual realm. And I'm just speaking from research and experience, working with clients, doing past life regression therapy, but also from the teachings of Dolores Cannon with quantum healing hypnosis, that we plan our incarnation. And we understand every step of the way what we want to accomplish as spiritual beings before we incarnate in these bodies. And we know that a part of the lesson is pain. A part of the lesson is death of the avatar that we're inhabiting. A part of the lesson, we may want to experience a disease. We may want to experience a traumatic event. And sometimes it's for the other cluster of spirits who have planned their incarnation around each other. And everyone is trying to learn a lesson. So it may be prudent that, okay, I may say to a fellow spiritual being, I'm going to have a car wreck and break my leg down the age of 9 to 12. But it'll be a lesson for you guys to know to wear your seatbelts in these cars that they use in this third density realm. So I know I'm going deep, but yeah. The point is, everything that you're experiencing, trials, tribulations, broke, rich, sick, healthy, happy, sad, vibrant, happy, that's a part of the experience. And all those things Source wants to experience. He wants all the information. He wants to experience through the physical, because obviously, who we really are, we're non-physical beings made of light and sound and love.
Yeah. Okay, so you dropped some words that the listeners, some might be like, what are you talking about? About past life regression and then quantum healing hypnosis. What is that? Can you give, a simplistic explanation so that anybody that has not ever heard about this, that they can, intake, because it can be very disorientating for some people to dive into this. Yet this is the whole reason why I created this podcast, to open up the horizon so that people see beyond what the constructs are.
Sure. First, let's start with clinical hypnosis, which works in the early theta brainwave stages. And the theta brainwave state is a state of focus, state of concentration, watching a television commercial intently, watching a basketball game intently, watching the stories or your favorite movie. You move yourself to the theta brainwave state. And we are in several different brainwave states throughout the day, depending on what we are focusing on or what draws our attention, moves you to a different brainwave state. But clinical hypnoticians work in the theta, which I am a clinical hypnotician as well. I find that somewhat boring and less effective than quantum healing hypnosis, which we work in the somnambulistic state. And that is the deepest state of theta that you can work in. And as Dolores would say, This is the part of theta that the other clinical hypnoticians and the people who are putting together these boards and certifications say, no, 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 don't work in that state. It's not enough research to back up working in that state. Things can happen in that state, but the somnambulistic state is that deep state of relaxation, so deep that you're able to move clients to different past lives and experience themselves living a different life. Well, sometimes when you're in that delta, that sleep state, you have those dreams. You can see, well, I was living in England and I was a guard at the Royal Palace. I keep having this dream of this other life. So people experience different dreams of themselves doing different things, or they're in certain places and they don't understand what the dream is, what is it and why is it there. They are experiencing themselves in different situations, but using past life regression therapy, you can get there. But quantum healing hypnosis is just that. Quantum healing hypnosis allows you to experience a different side of yourself through this deep relaxation, moving the brainwave state deeper and deeper, the deepest you can go. And once you get a patient, a client to that level, you are then able to make suggestions while they're in this state of mind, um, directly to the subconscious mind. Because when we're at that level of peace and quietness and rest, you can access the subconscious mind, the higher self, as Dolores likes to call it, the super mind, source, Buddha, whatever religious construct, we talked about that a minute ago, that person attaches themselves to, or is their paradigm, then whoever the higher person is, we're able to have direct one-on-one communication with this brilliant entity, with this absolutely amazing intelligence. And it's been done and it's been tested and it's been proven by thousands of QHHT practitioners all over the country, all over the world, because literally there are people all over the world that practice this technique. And I like to bring this analogy up. Um, when you cut your hand, if you don't use any antiseptic or anything, it's going to heal by itself. There's going to be millions of cells that will release antibiotics that will heal this cut if you don't use anything over the counter. But why is that? Well, the mind is directing the cells to heal this area that's damaged in the tissue. Okay, that's scientific. We know this. But who's telling the mind to do it? And that's where consciousness comes in. That's where you understanding that our consciousness is not local. There's not someone on Jupiter that's saying, okay, I'm going to create this entire paradigm, this entire experience of being a human, walking every day, conversating with Jason on a podcast, then going to the grocery store and buying food. Who's giving me these thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
The consciousness is the shared vehicle. Consciousness is not local, but it's beamed in from a higher source, and that is source. And we're all one being under one consciousness, but we're able to heal just by this information that's sent to the brain, then sent to the cells. Quantum healing hypnosis is fascinating, Nat, because if we can regress a person or move a person to the deep somnambulistic state, and at that point have a direct dialogue with that person's higher self, given permission. This is what Dolores Cannon found out about healing, how she could heal cancer, how she could heal kidney disease, how she could replace cartilage, how she could bring healing to the lower back by having this one-on-one direct conversation with the subconscious mind, asking, is it necessary that Nat deal with back pains? And then you get the response. Can we bring healing to Nat? Does she need this in her current lifetime? No, she doesn't. So we're able to have this conversation, and then they actually, we call them they, Dolores calls them, or the collective, they actually concentrate this healing to a certain part of the body. Quantum healing hypnosis. That's why Dolores was so successful with thousands of people doing the healing process. Now, I use this type of hypnosis when I'm dealing with uh, the mind of an athlete, the mind of a business person, a depressed individual, an individual who's dealing with trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder. Can you do the same thing with clinical hypnosis? Yes, absolutely. It takes longer. Quantum hypnosis is a 4.5 hour, 4.5 to 5 hour session. But we take as long as it needs to take to solve this problem, have this direct contact with the higher self to find out why this particular issue is necessary. Within that, we regress. We use it for past life regression. We move people to different lifetimes. Some people are living on a different planet when we are talking to them. Some people are kids again when we're talking to them. Some people are living on a farm and they're abusive to their children. And you're asking, well, why? Who is that? You said there's someone screaming. Who's screaming? Oh, it's just my son. He's always screaming when I tell him to do his chores. Does he always scream? Yeah, well, he's screaming because I had to hit him. Why did you have to hit him? Because that's how I get him to do what I want him to do. Well, that gives us a little peek as the practitioner during the session that the father is hitting the child in a different lifetime. Thus, this client came in and is abusive to his wife. So we have made a connection in a previous lifetime where there's abusive behavior. And then we bring it forth to the current life. And we ask the question at the end of the cycle with the client, is this necessary? Why did you show David this lifetime today? And we get the answer. So I use it in these different ways, the same way I would use clinical hypnosis. And it just depends, Nat, on what type of person am I dealing with and what the issues are on which process, which type of hypnosis I'll use on a client.
Mm. Now I have some questions. I'm going to be one that is like, okay, I heard you talk about cancer. And you're saying that it can be cured, or the question can be asked, do I need to experience it or I don't? So the person that goes, and if it comes back the answer that you need to experience cancer, how does one manage that kind of information? Because most people, if they have cancer, I want to heal because I don't want to die, or I don't want to live with this pain that I'm experiencing.
The higher self will clearly, the subconscious mind, higher self, source will clearly state in this session if it can be healed or if it's something that you wanted to experience. For example, the response could come back, this is something that Nat wants to experience, and she understands why she's going through this. Well, can you heal her? Now she's changed her mind. But she understands why she's going through this. This is something that she wanted to experience. Sometimes when you have a lesson that you want to learn from or you want to experience prior to incarnation, the higher self will not grant the healing of this particular issue. But we record all of the sessions on audio and video, and the client gets the session and that can actually hear these words coming from their mouth. And that in itself provides healing and understanding to the particular client. The subconscious mind will only bring healing to a person if they no longer need this experience if it's not needed and it doesn't serve the greater good of all. For instance, it could be a knee injury that you've been lingering for the last 6 years, and this bad knee. Well, then that has already been experienced, and there's no need to have that experience moving on in the current lifetime. We can bring healing to the knee and recreate, and they can recreate a new cartilage. It's been done before. It's been documented through the quantum healing hypnosis process. But I love that question, Nat, because, well, what if they say you can't heal from a certain thing? And that means that it's already been deemed this is an experience that you wanted to go through, and that has not properly been at this time. And then also there are time frames that are set with the lifetime. And it may be time, your time frame is up. And it's time for you to go back home and prepare for the next lesson. See, when you study all the work of Dolores Cannon and you read through all the books, Dolores was developing a catalog of information from thousands of regression sessions from people all over the world, and she was categorizing the life of a spirit. What they were saying to her that she has on audio on what and how and when they incarnate and what level they ascend to as they are learning. Earth is a school. It is one of the toughest schools in this entire universe on where a spirit incarnates because of the nature of this planet. And there are mostly spiritual based planets in this universe, highly evolved. And Earth is one of those planets that is not spiritually evolved in that way, although it's moving more towards the 5D. But right now it's not. So it's a tough environment for spirits when they come into these bodies and they incarnate here for the lesson. And Earth is the toughest lesson out of all these places to incarnate. But there's a long line, just researching and reading her books. Dolores says there's a long line of spirits wanting to come to Earth because of how tough it is and the experiences that you get. And typically, the more advanced spirits, the spirits who have incarnated thousands and hundreds of thousands of times, they come to Earth as this toughest challenge yet, so to speak.
Because I know some people in this experience, and if they were to hear this, it would probably activate them very much. So I would like if you could give a word for the ones that have lost their children. It could be either murder or sudden death. And you're in the message saying that, before this was an experience that you wanted to experience. But right now, this person's probably going to use some very colorful language about why would I ever want to experience this?
It's easy to understand why a person would be distraught because they have no memory of who they are. When the spirits incarnate into the bodies, the memory is white clean. So if you remember every lifetime you ever lived, what's the point of incarnating in these bodies to experience the planet Earth and also experience all the other lifetimes you've ever lived and where you came from? It's too much for us to handle. We can't handle that type of information. We can't handle the fact that every thought that we have splits off into a different reality. And that's a whole another conversation. Every thought that we said, I'm going to go ahead and have Jason come on my show. But there was another thought that said, I'm going to move him to a different date. Then that splits into a different reality. Now, we don't have the capacity to be able to do that. That's why the memories are stripped. So we don't understand who we are and how powerful we are. And we don't understand anything but this paradigm and this experience. So when we lose someone, we have no clue that we planned and that spirit, which was your son who died, planned to die so that the the companion spirit who mother, and there was the sister, and then there was a cousin, and then the aunt, and the dad. All these different spirits on this spirit cluster, spirit group. And they sat around and they all said, okay, we're going to learn from this death of Johnny. But just not being able to decipher this information because we are wiped from the understanding of where we are and who we are. That's why the emotions can be expressed through the avatar, and the experience can be real because we have no clue that it's planned. But this experience and emotions are raw, and that's what Source wants. The experiences, avatar, in the physical. Now, these are lessons. These are regression sessions that Dolores has done with her 20 some odd books, in particularly Life, Death, and the Convoluted Universe series. You can get all these understandings. And hypnosis is fabulous, but it will not work for a person who's skeptical, who doesn't have, who has limited thinking, limited belief system. It just won't work. Quantum healing hypnosis, move into different past lives, understanding different sides of yourself, creating this healing won't work if your intentions aren't set. Believe that this will work for you. And if your construct won't let you think outside of, I don't know about that. I've just had a lady that was in a session with me that was analyzing things I was asking her to do while I was moving her deeper into the somnambulistic state. And I asked her to see some things for me, and she couldn't visualize it. But it was revealed after the session, it was revealed that she was saying to herself, I can't see that, or I can't see this, whatever he's asked me to see. So she's contemplating with herself while in the induction stage of the hypnosis. Bomb. Session's dead at that point. When the left side of the brain, the analytical side of the brain, the part of the brain that wants to know the answers to everything, the questions, the reasons why, the theory behind, the understanding, when I'm asking you to move yourself into a relaxed state of peace and quiet, allow your mind to just be. I'm going to ask you a few things. I want you to answer me. Is it okay with you? You say yes. And then I ask you the question and you're contemplating in your head. Ready, the client is not in a relaxed state. The left side of the brain is functioning. And those are tough people to put under. But in quantum hypnosis, Dolores always tells us it's your fault if you can't get a person under. And I totally admit to a certain extent. That means that we have to go back and we have to continue to talk with the client in our intake session, which takes about 2 hours. Now it needs to take 3 hours to go back and continue to talk and literally wear this person down to where they're not thinking so much and they are so tired or relaxed, they're able to then descend deeper into this relaxed state so that we can access all the information we need to help them.
Do you know what you were just explaining? It's not the left, well, they say it's the left brain. It's the defense mechanisms of the nervous system. And so in the simplistic of, for somebody to understand, analyze, and when you overanalyze, it's because you feel unsafe and you don't know how to surrender. You don't know how to allow that hypervigilance to be released. So as you were stating, if a person is rigid and overanalyzing, the defense, because how I see it in the energy form is when the nervous system is activated, you're not able to go into that deep space, that subconscious, because it's like a force field. Yet what you're doing is allowing the person to deactivate that force field so they can go down deeper. And so exactly how you said, if you have it that you're in a construct and possibly really addicted to the emotion because it brings certain chemicals in your body and you've been just habituated to be in this state, it is very challenging to surrender Yet if you have a practitioner that understands to regulate you and to allow you to disarm that nervous system, it's all about safety. And once that safety is there, then you're able to really guide a person in there. But it is, like you said, if their nervous system, like, you cannot override the biology as much as we would like to try to. It really needs safety and surrender to deactivate those defense mechanisms. And that's why that
Absolutely.
inner part is required.
Absolutely spot on. There are a lot of terms that we use. There's no one way
Yeah.
to say something, but you're absolutely spot on. Dolores calls it the left side of the brain.
Yeah.
And then the right side of the brain is the side of the brain we love to work with, the creative side, the side that has all the memories, all the pictures, all the creative things a person likes to do. This is the part of the mind that we love to work with when in quantum hypnosis, but you're spot on. And that's why the intake process, we go no less than 2 hours. So when, particularly if you have a client that says, I said, was there anything else that we should be covering today? I drop a number of subliminal messages throughout the session. Wow, you show growth right there. Well, yeah, I did grow from you grew from that situation. I just see nothing but positives. And then we'll talk, 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 talk. See, again, you overcame your mother yelling. It just seems like you were getting better and better as you were moving through your teenage years to your adult years. So we're dropping subliminal messages the entire time we're doing the intake process. And we're also dropping subliminals on when we finish today. I'm going to be so happy that you were able to rest and have this peaceful experience. So you drop those. And then now when you're at the end of the intake, and well, that's about it. Is there anything else? I mean, we have all day. Is there anything else you would like to talk about? And sometimes the conscious mind, I call it the left side of the brain, you called it a neural system, but the conscious mind does not want to relax, does not want you to experience this relaxed state. Person may say to you, that's all, that's it. I mean, it's all. And as I'm talking to them, there are questions that they won't answer. So we'll go through the questions. What about a boyfriend? I asked you a minute ago. Oh, well, I probably should tell you about David. We just spent 20 minutes talking about Charles and Larry. And now David, I'm like, there must be something about David that's secret. No, it's not. And go into David and talk extensively about David. But that was a clue that the person is still holding back. But you're absolutely right. And it is a signal, a sign that not comfortable. They're still not safe. And it won't work until they get safe. But also, Nat, they have to want to be safe.
Yeah.
They have to want to be comfortable. They have to want to experience this healing that Nat has for them. And you can guide them and lead them and talk to them and assure them. But if they've made their minds up on there's going to be a limit on what they're going to talk about, then they kill the session for themselves.
Yeah, I experience, and the only have this language because I experience it with myself. Like I see myself where like you're not, and another language to give indication where we might hold on and we won't see ourselves is that ego. It's like the nervous defense mechanisms are protecting you from seeing this because I don't think you have the capacity to reveal this. That radical honesty is needed for healing. Like what you just said for the whole process. I'm breaking it down in simple terms, yet it takes, it's a complex system to be able to work through this. There isn't a magic pill where I know a lot of Western people are like, just fix me right there. And it's like, well, you're going to have to do some work. Like you got to understand what's going on. Yet, for me, it kind of deludes where people are like, well, there is no past lives. And I'm like, well, nervous systems create new nervous systems and they charge and they keep memories stored in their nervous systems. So if you are able to tap into your nervous system, then you're able to tap into the wealth of knowledge and ancestor and information that's in there. It's not only trauma that's in nervous systems, there's a whole bunch of wisdom and knowledge in there. Yet you have to be able to surrender these defense mechanisms that has kept you protected from being in the big S, the self source, in that subconscious part. Yet again, it's giving the power outside of us that you will do this for me. Where in my work, I'm like, I am not your healer. I do energy healing, yet you are the medicine. You are the one to provide this for you. All I'm doing is holding space so that you can finally see yourself without running away, and that it feels safe to do that. So we can disactivate this little pit bull or bear or whatever feels like a monster, when, because the nervous system is a brutal system when it's like the inner critic and sabotage and all that. Yet once you find somebody that really, and you provide that, your voice, your tone, information, and how direct, people can feel that sense of like, you're not going to harm me and I'm safe in this. Like, you're not going to let me just fall. And so the work that you're doing is totally, I totally get it. I ask those questions because I also don't want to feel that when people are in a certain position, it feels like a lot of harm. Like, why would I want this called on myself and all these different things? And it's like, you have to remove this indoctrination that some religions and cultures have put on you and come back into your empowerment of what is this life and the curriculum of life.
I was speaking with Nat. I was speaking with a good friend of mine who is a mental health expert, Dr. Jay Barnett, and he came on my show and we were talking. He is a powerful brother, and he just came out and said, Jay, talk therapy is awesome. He said, but I can only take you so far. He said, and around the eighth session, I'm just getting you to open up to me and getting you comfortable with me. He said, well, you're talking about hypnosis and quantum hypnosis. I think that it needs to be a merging of subconscious mind work along with talk therapy as a bridge for the client. And I told him I absolutely agreed. And I say that because I had another interesting conversation with a sports psychologist. And there are all these practical steps and all the neurons and what science says, and the body does this, which is absolutely true. But working at the subconscious mind level, working at that level, moving those brainwave states down to where you can directly contact directly with the subconscious mind should not be overstated. And it's a very valuable way to heal. And thus, quantum healing hypnosis, I mean, it's worldwide, and it people are healing every day. And then there's some that, like the young lady, after she listened to the session and we talked about it, I see what you're saying. Oh, I gotta, no, you're fine. Understand that these mechanisms are like a vice grip around your psyche, and you just need to relax. And I give that have a hard time a number of things to do. And you talked about this, using some mindfulness, spending time walking, um, positive thinking, journaling, a number of things remove the personality of Nat out of the equation. The ego, like you said a minute ago, out of the equation, and just be. And if you could be, and know that when you're about to experience a session with Nat, and you've given yourself, you're about to experience a session with Jason, you're just giving yourself to this process. You've set your intentions. You're not expecting anything. You're not trying to feel anything. Nat says you can feel your breath. Don't feel it, let it happen. When people let it happen, they have to train themselves. Certain people, Nat, I've done many people that have gone right in. Mm-hmm. And I think that their needs were more pressing. They actually said, I got to do something. the level of need plays a part, I believe, Nat, in
Oh yeah, it does.
if they will, be susceptible to our styles of healing.
Yeah, very much so. When you are reactive and there's something on you, you're very open to surrender and be like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
But being proactive with this stuff, and that's where I'm like, don't go into a reactive state. And to go back to clients that are like berating themselves and, oh, I should have saw or I should have been, it's like, no, thank your biology. It is your nervous system is always there to protect you. It may put you in situations with your behavior that are harmful, yet it has created a safety in that, thinking that this is what you want. And it's very confusing because there's two different things that are conflicting. There's like a war going on. Your authentic part is trying to come up, but your defense mechanisms are like, oh no, we can't go there. And
Mm-hmm.
once the two can merge, then that becomes that superhuman and you're able to access. It's not one or the other. Like a lot of people want to go like, I don't want to be human anymore. Let me just be spiritual and energy. And it's like, but that's not what you came. You came to do the human experience. So you're able to merge these two to have the information needed to go through whatever your curriculum is.
Even Dr. Joe Dispenza, just to piggyback on what you just said, that's superhuman. Even Dr. Joe Dispenza wrote a book, Becoming Superhuman. So there's a process to go through to become superhuman, and it takes work. Even if your nervous system is blocking you because it sees that you're about to experience something that it may not quite be ready for, it just takes work to become superhuman, to become malleable to a hypnosis process, to a meditative mindfulness process that you may put a client through to understand themselves better, that's dealing with something. So it is a process for a lot of people. Some people, they're already there. They're already at this place. So it's fascinating to say to Nat, and very rewarding work. I've moved this type of hypnosis into a number of different areas that I work in, and it is fantastic.
Yeah. And, the delight is when you see that, I know a lot of people when they first come to see me, they're like, oh, you're doing and you're so special and all this. Yet it's when they start accessing and start walking on their own legs, like no longer needing me as the life jacket. It's like you're starting and it's like, look at what you've done. Look at what you didn't think was possible. And even like last week, I had a session with a client. It was our, I think, second time. And in there, she was like radically honest with me. She's like, I'm just going to let it out because I just can't. And my mind's just going and yada, yada. She's like, even this would be embarrassing. I'm going to release this and tell you. And I was like, okay. I'm like, yeah, of course your system's going to do this. It wants a sense of protection. So it's doing these things. And she's like, well, how do I stop? I'm like, just stop. I
Yeah.
I'm like, you're harming yourself. You're putting in more information to ramp up your system, which you're not able to protect yourself with this. You just have to live in your experience rather than trying to protect yourself from the unknown and uncertainty of whatever pain's going to come, and recognize that you'll have the ability to process whatever you are going to experience, yet not disconnect from yourself. And then 2 days later, she's like, it's been over 24 hours since I did that habit, the longest I've ever done. And I can't believe that this happened. Like, I'm so proud of myself. And I'm like, you should be. She's like, that session allowed me just to really be honest, offload, and then see what I was doing to myself and then be accountable for my own well-being. I'm like, yep, that's all, that's what I'm providing to people. Because it's like, yeah, I can show you certain things. I'm here, yet the work is you. The work is always within ourselves. It would be
I, lo-
nice to
I
offload
love it.
that. I'd like to offload it on you, Jason. And can you just do my work, please? Because I don't want to do this curriculum. And it's like asking to do your push-ups. You're not going to gain the benefit of it. And it's hard
We're,
to not bang into that wall.
I got it. We're very careful in in quantum hypnosis and in hypnosis in general, the client always needs to know, I'm not healing you. I am the bridge. I am the connector to yourself. And you unequivocally have to allow the healing to take place. And you unequivocally can undo the reprogramming of the mind, of the subconscious mind, can undo all the things that we've worked on to shift from this stagnant mindset into this growth mindset. You can undo that. You can, if you want to, or you can continue with the progress that we've made. I'm facilitating the healing and you are accepting it. And it's a bridge. I'm only a bridge. I'm only a connector.
Yeah.
And I make that very clear in all my information I give on my website. I don't heal people. I make the connection, the bridge for you to heal yourself.
Yeah, that's why I do healing, because it's a constant moving action. There is no healed. It is life is going to hit you with impermanence all the time. So you're going to have to go through things, especially grief. We go through griefs in so many different ways that we have to navigate. So that in itself needs repair and healing to be able to remember, use my tools to navigate through whatever stage this is in life. I really thank you for, taking on the difficult scenarios, because like I said, I know people that are navigating with some really deep scenarios. And I had said on a podcast the other day, I'm like, I can't give meaning to what people have experienced. Like my friend's son that was murdered, or my other friend that her baby died, at 14 months, or my friend that's going through pancreatic cancer. I can't give you meaning for that. Yet I can ask you, well, how are you going to show up with this now? What are you going to do? It's like I have a very blunt term of process your shit. Every garden needs manure. So how are we going to process this? How are you going to show up with this information? And if they're willing to go even further deeper of how you said, like, look into why you came onto this earth. Like, what is your source? What is your faith? Yet a lot of people are just very superficial because they think, again, it's outside of them and not able to tap in deep into that. So I thank you for answering these questions, of facing them, and, holding space of, if you're willing, then you're able to get some answers for this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'd like to share with people, go to my website at jasonmedlock.com. And I've written a beautiful book, Empowered by Consciousness. And some of the things that we talked about on the show today are in the book. How I was able to grow in all the different spiritual modalities, the research behind it, some of the more scientific terms. But once you move past the scientific, what is happening and how it's happening, and you move more into the spiritual modalities, the actual practicing of it, you can see that it really affects your life. Different techniques in hypnosis, how to understand and use the subconscious mind, the wonderful powers of psychedelics. And Nat, we talked about this before the show, but psychedelics can help with depression. It can help with PTSD. But Empowered by Consciousness, just go check that out. I just want to say that, I'm just encouraging everyone just to understand your mindset and the impact it has on your personal growth. And that's very, very important, because most of the people that we help, and that you help, it starts with mindset and how they view themselves in this life, and they're stuck in some sort of way, Nat. They're just, and we were trying to help them move to a certain place, all because of their self-awareness, and understanding, what's around them and what actually do they want. And just having a belief system so there are a number of things that I liked people and challenged people to think about And then, when they're looking to their lives, when they're looking to figure out why am I stagnant, when they're looking to try to figure out why am I so violent towards this person or that person, and this needs to really, really, really be thought about, and give some to yourself to be within yourself. So I just wanted to get that out before we got off.
Yeah, of course. And can you let them know about your podcast?
Yeah, I'm the host of Expansion of Consciousness. This is why me and Nat can go this deep, because I have a podcast that talks about all these wonderful things. Expansion of Consciousness on YouTube. Just type in at Expansion of Consciousness. 3 days a week, we have shows that are lined up where we experience psychic mediumship, talk about hypnosis, quantum healing hypnosis. I have a number of coaches that come on the show that because I recognize, and that recognizes that this are not the end all. They're not, for everybody. And I like a number of people on the show so that people can resonate with who resonates with them. But yeah, the expand of consciousness. Check me out there. Go to jasonmedlock.com. I have a few mindset packages, but the one thing you can find on my website are free hypnosis audio sessions that my voice, no one else's voice. And I have some healing hypnosis audios as well, that could be very beneficial to you. But yeah, check me out.
Yeah. And for the listeners, you don't have to rewind. It'll all be in the show notes. I understand we are a bunch of cyborgs now, so we just want the hyperlink and bring me right to the spot. So I want you to be able to get in contact with Jason right away. Because if there was any inclination that there was an opening, a curiosity, a wanting to contact, please take action with it. Don't let it get buried away. Just click, because there's no question that cannot be answered. And just, reach out to him. If there was something of any kind of opening, just follow through with that. Don't listen to the things that are no, 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 no. Just reach out. Please just reach out, because you have no idea what the gift is that you may be providing for yourself to have a bigger opening within yourself. I just have a reflective question to ask you, Jason. I want you to bring your awareness right now and go back to your 18-year-old self. You have 3 words to tell your 18-year-old self to carry you through the journey. What would they be?
That this toughness that you instilled in yourself, this wall that you block people out, trust, your feelings on how you feel inside, and know that it's okay. Relax yourself, man. You're 18 years old. You're 2 tenths. Just relax, experience, let things come into your life. Sink in, relax your posture, relax your attitude. Just relax and discover. There are a number of things that have come your way. Allow yourself to discover new possibilities, new ways of thinking, new ways of doing things, and experience that. So those would be the 3 things I would say to my 18-year-old self.
Beautiful. Are you willing to share what the intention was in the meditation at the beginning?
The intention was to bring forth information on how hypnosis, and particularly quantum healing hypnosis, can help change and have a positive effect on the lives of the people who are listening, and how that they're able to recognize themselves, and change things that may be bothering them, illnesses that they may have that they want to eradicate. So my intentions, that I wanted for people to hear this podcast and to say, listen, I'm open to discovering new ways to deal with the trauma, deal with the post-traumatic stress, deal with the aching back, deal with the knee problems, using a deeper, relaxed form of hypnosis. And that was actually, the intention that I set, that source allowed me to regurgitate this information for the audience.
Yeah. The intention was well served in this conversation. So
Yes.
thank you. That's why I do these meditations with intentions first, so that intuition and source can guide the conversation. Like you said, when you create intention in your life, you get to see such a different way of living. I want to thank you for enriching my audience and my listeners and myself. Your energy is infectious, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you, Jay, for the light that you're bringing into this world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nat, and I really appreciate it. Awesome podcast, and I'm so happy to be a guest.
I hope you'll come back, because there's some other things I'd like to dive into, other subject matter that
We missed a lot.
Yeah, I'd like to tussle in and see what will come up in the dialogue.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Please remember to be kind to yourself.
Hey, you made it all the way here. I appreciate you and your time. If you found value in this conversation, please share it out. If there was somebody that popped into your mind, take action and share it out with them. It possibly may not be them that will benefit. It's that they know somebody that will benefit from listening to this conversation. So please take action and share out the podcast. You can find us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under Lift Oneself. And if you want to inquire about the work that I do and the services that I provide to people, come over on my website, come into a discovery call, liftoneself.com. Until next time, please remember to be kind and gentle with yourself. You matter.